Do 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 do. I said I would be back, didn't I? Well, here I am, dirty and faceless. Today we're going to be breaking down the fighter class. I said in my debut that I really wanted to come back to some of these classes and break them down properly and well. So that's what I've done. I've decided to come back and break down each of the classes one by one, starting with fighter, breaking down everything they have properly, and creating a character as an example later on. So, we will begin today with a familiar screen. First, the credits. Everybody loves these people. They're great people. I've never met them personally, but I assume that they're great people. But first, before anything, I do want to talk to you guys on my debut screen, apparently. Oopsies. Let me fix that. No. There we go. Sorry. I do want to talk to you guys. Haven't got quite used to my key bindings yet. So, D&D nights will be Wednesdays, not Thursdays. We might be able to move it to Sundays if things go wrong, or hell, we might even be able to do it Sunday and Wednesdays, but right now it is just Wednesdays. That is it. We'll probably be running from 8 to 12 or 8 to 1, it really depends, hopefully a little bit longer, but the players, we all got things to do. I am really happy to start this so far. So, that aside, let's go back to the screen, shall we? A familiar place we all know. The D&D Wikidot. Once again, support the creators of both the Wikidot and Wizards of the Coast, as you will see shortly. Let's review Fighter as a whole. Fighter is a very powerful class in D&D 5e, although you do need to know how to use it properly to take advantage of it. I'm going to start with a build of Fighter I usually go with, and what you could do for multi-classing for Fighter later on. 20th level or higher, although campaigns really go to 20th level, average about 15. So, if you've watched the debut stream, good. We're going to be reviewing some of this stuff. If you haven't, welcome. This is my channel. I am the great and powerful Shin Worldmaker, a demon fox who's obsessed with D&D and all D&D accessories. Pretty simple. This specific video will teach you exactly how to be a fighter in D&D and what you can do to expand your horizons, as well as equipment and other things you may need as a D&D fighter. So let's talk about fighter for a second and break it down. What is a fighter? Fighters are melee-focused characters primarily. You wouldn't think that looking at their stats, but they are. They're mainly melee-focused. Although, there are exceptions. You can make a fighter as, say, a wizard kind of build, a ranged spellcasting build. You can make a fighter as a stealth build. They're very, very flexible thanks to their fighting styles here, and Second Wind allowing them to have more HP than normal classes would. If Second Wind goes well and you have a good Constitution modifier, which we'll get into shortly, you can very easily be tankier than the group's Barbarian. So, let's review these. We have fighting styles and Second Wind. Second Wind, pretty simple. It allows you to regenerate, as a bonus action, regenerate 1d10 plus your fighter level and hit points. Keep in mind, I do assume you know D&D rules and what a 1d10 is within this video. If you do not, there will be a basics guide coming out soon. Hopefully. A basic stream. So these are your fighting styles. I'll be going over quickly what they're all good for. If you want a more in-depth detail, I think I did pretty good on my guide in the debut stream. But this will be a video and a stream dedicated to fighter, so let's begin. Archery is obviously good for archery and ranged combat. Pretty simple. Simple as that. A +2 isn't the best on attack rolls. Keep in mind this is to your to hit roll, but there is another fighting style later on. Keep in mind you can have two. You can have two fighting styles that is just as good. We're going to be making a base D&D fighter with a website. Not sponsored, by the way. I'm not sponsored by any of these websites or anything, although I would love to be, as it is my passion. Yeah, archery, not the best for a ranged weapon build, but it's alright. I would suggest if you pick up archery, there's a feat that you can pick up called sharpshooter, which is very good and very powerful, that I would suggest picking up. There you go. Sharpshooter with this can be very good, and it provides you a lot of benefits you would normally. Blind fighting is good not just for fighting, but at roleplay. You get a 10-foot blind sense, and you can sense any creature within that blind sense. Defensive adds a +1 to AC so long as you're wearing armor. Pretty simple, pretty good stuff. After going through these fighting styles, we'll be making a fighter properly. Dueling is also pretty powerful. Dueling while you are wielding one weapon. It's a bonus damage. It's not the best, but it is bonus damage, and it does combo with certain feats. I've kind of changed my opinion on this one. It's pretty powerful when combined with certain feats, and a swashbuckler, specifically a swashbuckler rogue, can get a lot out of this. A lot. Great weapon fighting is almost a requirement as a good fighter. It allows you to just stop rolling bad on your damage consistently. Interception is okay if you want to play defensively, although it's not worth it except for early game because a 1d10 is not a lot of damage to reduce. Protection does work on ranged attacks, depending on how the DM rules it, but is all in all not the best fighting style. Superior technique is one you want to pick if you're a battle master. It just gets you good stuff from your own class, your own subclass, and not only that, it allows you to pick up the martial adept feat as well. It doesn't allow you to, but it encourages you to pick up the martial adept feat as well and get even more from your own class. Throwing weapon fighting can combine with a feat called thrown weapon master, which can make this very powerful. Two weapon fighting, a dual wielder, can be very strong as well. Unarmed fighting can be very good with a monk, but not quite as much as a fighter. Close quarters shooter adds another +1 to ranged attacks, and gives you the benefit of sharpshooter while they're within 30 feet of you. So if you pick this up and archery with the fighting initiate feat, you can be pretty good. Mariner is just very powerful, +1, so long as you're not using heavy armor or shield to your armor class. You can take this with defensive with medium armor and be basically just as good as heavy armor. And Tunnel Fighter is the best one, allowing you to negate the effect of using your reaction for an opportunity attack and giving you the ability to make a reaction attack against any creature that moves with 5 feet within your reach. I'll be going over good combos with Fighter as well. Good combos with Fighter, pretty much any feat that allows you to do something special with weapon. Polearm Master, to a certain extent, like crossbow expert and stuff can be good for a fighter. Although mandatory feat, there's basically a mandatory feat for a fighter that you kind of have to pick to be viable, because wizards and warlocks and such will absolutely outdamage you at later levels, because martial classes are a little bit weak in D&D 5e. Martial classes means people who usually fight up front, the tanks. They're very weak in late game and somewhat weak, a little bit weak in early game. The feat that is pretty much required is Great Weapon Master. Great Weapon Master combined with optional rules for from the DMG, which any good DM will run. Those rules being Oversized weapons can allow you to do a lot of damage, and that's the kind of fighter I will be making and showing you how to make today on the Roll20 website. D&D Beyond specifically. This has everything you need. Once again, not sponsored, but this has everything you need for basic starting for D&D Beyond. Simple as that. Sorry, I forgot to agree to that. So we're going to name our fighter here. Let's go with, usually pretty simple, Quinn. Quinn. Now you pick a race. Okay, so let's go over the races here, shall we? The ones we have access to. Human is always a good one. Human variant can absolutely take a build pretty well. They get good languages. They get a good choice of languages. No exotic languages out the gate. You get an ability score increase, a skill, and a feat. Usually you always want to pick a good feat. And personally, I'll be assuming that you want to kind of min-max your build here, right? You want to min-max your fighter build out the gate. And there's two ways to do that. Either play a half-orc. Half-orcs get menacing, relentless endurance, and savage attacker. Savage attack is very powerful, as you can see. 1 extra die. That's better for a barbarian, though. For a fighter, honestly, human is pretty good. But if you have access to more of like the more complex races, if you're willing to go through that, races like Minotaur and something like Shifter are also really good for a fighter. But honestly, human variant is very good for a fighter as well, which is what we will be picking in our example for min-maxing in an early game. So, human variant is our race. Chosen language. So, pretty much everyone starts with common. So we're going to go start with... You definitely want a language that is useful. I would personally say Elvish is a very used language in a lot of campaigns. But there are others which you can pick from, as you can see here. Gith can be useful, Giant is useful, but I would personally select Elvish first off. Human variant is also very important. Your 2 ability scores as a fighter, Constitution and Strength are probably your most important ones. You can also pick Dexterity, but Dexterity will make it hard for you to use oversized weapons. So Constitution and Strength are your main ones. For your 1 skill as a fighter, you are always going to want to try and pick up Perception, no matter what. Perception is very useful for a fighter. It allows you to get more information on the field and allows you to use your time wisely. As 1 feat, oopsies, as a feat, it will not let me scroll down. Oopsies, I don't know why that is. I only have the choice between choose a feat and grappler for some odd reason. Either way, that doesn't matter. For a feat, I'll just say it how I would put it. For a feat, the feat you usually always want to pick up is, as a fighter, especially a human variant, is something like oh, I see, I don't actually have access to it because it's not part of the thing. Okay. You know how these websites can be. A good feat, basically required, like I said before, is something like Great Weapon Master. I'll actually pull that up now. So hold on, give me 1 second. Here it is, right here. Great Weapon Master. So, bonus action, basically a form of cleave. You can kill someone as long as you drop them below 0 hit points. And then this right here is really good. Heavy weapon that you're proficient with, -5 penalty, +10 to attack. That is really, really powerful, especially with certain combinations we will see later. So please assume that this is this is what we were going to pick. Great weapon fighter. Ah, right here. Yes, right here, that's the thing. And I believe then, yeah, okay. About what I thought. Keep in mind, dexterity is an option for fighters, but it's a very low damage option. And then we will go down here to fighter. Fighter is a pretty simple class, all in all, but it is very, very powerful. Great weapon fighting is usually the first thing you want to pick for a fighter if you want to do proper damage as a fighter. Great weapon fighting is very good, but also something like defensive can also be very good as well. Proficiencies, usually, if you've got perception, you really want to take something like athletics and something good like history, which can help out the party. Or if you've already got a wizard with history, something like intimidation or something like insight can help out as well. If you want to be a leader of the group type, you can instead pick something like history and insight, or maybe you can go athletics and survival. If it's a survival based campaign, you get a fighting style and you get second wind. Simple as that. Now these are your ability scores. Now hold on, if you're new to D&D, don't worry, this is very simple once you understand it, and you'll be going with this at a breeze eventually. Ability scores are kind of odd, right? First, you have to choose a method. Standard array is just a standard array of numbers which the game will give you. These numbers, you can put these into any of your stats. Personally, as a fighter, you want your dex and constitution. Sorry, your strength or your strength and constitution, or your dex and constitution be the highest, and then you want something like your dex to be somewhat high so it doesn't reduce from your AC. But honestly, as a fighter, you can dump dex if you need to. You'll be going last in most initiatives, but you can dump dex. And then you say want something lower for intelligence as well, or what you can do is you can put a 10 into that, an 8 into that, 12 into that, 13 into that, because you do have the perception skill. Or you can go 12 into that and the 13 into that. Yeah, but if you're not going to be the talker, if your group has a bard, you can easily go there and have high intelligence, high wisdom, and dump charisma, which is what most people do. But charisma can be very useful with a specific ability we will get to later on from a specific subclass. Okay. As far as languages go, we have Elvish, which is very, very good. And then background for a fighter, soldier is usually pretty good. You gain another few skill proficiencies, which with the current setup we want something like investigation, and dice set is usually what everyone goes with, but 3 dragon set, sorry, I read that completely wrong. The 3 dragon enti set, I believe is how you're supposed to say that word, enti. God, I can't tell a joke to save my life. Okay, sorry. I'm laughing at my own jokes, okay? I'm a little bit deranged. So, once we've got that all set up, we want to go with, starting equipment. Gold, equipment, and then you would normally put it down here. Keep in mind, a lot of backgrounds, what we picked, back here, soldier especially, they will actually start with starting equipment. So if you go to like the DMG or anything, you'll find that they usually start with starting equipment, and you can find the packs in the player's handbook and the DMG, I do believe. But after that, we go to view character sheet, and you can see we have our fighter here. Now, as you can see, he has some minuses in a couple things. He's got -1 charisma, which is okay. And I'm going to use this as sort of an example character sheet. 12 hit points, because we do have a +2 to con. And from here, we can basically use this as an anchor point to explain everything else I wanted to explain. So, I get this out here. I'm going to talk about some more of the feat combinations for fighter, which could be good for you. So, good feat combinations for fighter. This is a level 1 fighter, keep in mind. We can, say, do a short rest or level him up somehow. See, he's only level 1 right now, which is, it's alright. Fighters at level 1 are very powerful, right? They're going to be your main damage dealers for a while. And you see, Great Weapon Master even guarantees we're going to do at least good damage. At level 2, things get different, right? Level 2, fighters get more hit points. They get more power overall. And as you can see here, you get all these options, sorry. As you can see here, our race actually gives us a feat, which, keep in mind, most races either start with some ability or get some buff to their stats. Usually it's something like an elf or something. Humans also get a buff to their stats, but it's minimal for human variant, and normal humans are kind of not worth it unless you're going for a generalist. But all in all, fighters get very powerful later on. As you can see, already at 20 hit points at level 2, which is very good. And we're already nearly choosing our subclass. Now, there is an issue with fighters, right? Before we talk about the feats they pair with really well, before we talk about the fighting styles or anything else, or any combinations we can do with Quinn here. Oh, sorry. I thought I heard something with my fox ears. The thing is about this, fighters are limited in mobility. It's somewhat of a weakness. It's not always going to be a weakness for them, because they have abilities to cover that later on. Something like Action Surge or something like that. But there's no increases to speed here. There's extra attacks, there's increases to damage everywhere. Extra attack. Martial archetype. Ability score improvements. It's everywhere. Fighters get ability score improvements every 2 levels after level 4. You can turn an ability score improvement into a feat. That's why we'll be talking about more of those. But other than that, fighters don't get too good of anything. Carrying on, we can increase him to level 3 now. Alright. Martial archetype. We only have access to champion right now, but that doesn't matter, because we will be going over what these archetypes do. And personally, for Quinn here, out of all of these archetypes, I will be picking one that's usually not used to give you a good example of how even the weaker archetypes here, what I say is usually weaker archetypes, can still be pretty good. So, an archetype that is usually used is Battle Master, Champion occasionally, Arcane Archer. But if you want to min-max, I'll be showing you how to do that as well. If you want to min-max with a great weapon fighter, you want to pick Samurai. Samurai is very good for survivability with their fighting spirit starting at 3rd level. You get 5 temporary hit points every time you use it. It's a bonus action. You're not going to be using your bonus action for anything. And great weapon fighting is a good thing to have with it. So, let's go over feats next. We got the subclass. Alright. We know what subclass Quinn is, right? We know what subclass Quinn is. We know what Quinn is going to be doing. We know everything. So we go here. As you can see, we already have 28 hit points. Samurai would normally allow us to use some very powerful abilities. So let's go over the synergy between this and anything else. First of all, before even that, you gain more skill proficiencies. I would personally pick with Quinn's current build here, I would personally pick something like... Whoopsies. Something like... That's a hard choice. Because the thing is, look, we already have some of those. So history and persuasion, just to cover up our weakness, is something I would pick. And then languages, I would personally pick... Probably Orcish. I would pick Orcish out of those. And you can see we already had 28 hit points and we're only level 3. So, pretty good. As far as combos go and what this... Let's go over what this actually does. Basically, you can use your bonus action to give you 5 temporary hit points until later levels. And give yourself advantage on all weapon rolls until the end of your current turn. Now let me go over what combo we're doing with our fighter right now. With Great Weapon Master, Great Weapon Fighting, and Oversized Weapons. Let me go over the Oversized Weapon rule. Oversized weapons. Didn't say any curse word there, just to remind you so YouTube doesn't strike me down. Oversized weapons are very simple. They do more damage. Simple as that. But there is an issue. If you cannot carry or you are not the appropriate size for that weapon, you can't use it without getting disadvantage. But we are a fighter, and there are ways around it. So, at level 4 is when the build really starts. We pick an ability score. We pick a feat. And then down here, we would normally pick the feat. So we get to level 4, we're a samurai. We haven't really picked anything else yet, right? Because we don't get much else. Because, you know, at level 4, fighters are the only... it's the only time fighters get a choice between what they want. Until, you know, with the exception of level 3. But we have a good start. We have a good basin. We have a fighting style. That fighting style, Great Weapon Fighting. We have a starting feat, that being Great Weapon Master. We have Second Wind for tankiness. We have Action Surge in case we need it, which allows you to take an additional action down here on your turn, as you can see. So we have a good fighter thus far. But level 4 is when this really comes in. We want to pick up a feat. Specifically, where is it here? It is a very powerful feat which allows us to wield oversized weapons called... Alphabetical order, please save me. Okay. I think I understand how this is ordered. See, it goes in alphabetical order down to left. I thought it was going right. My apologies for the unprofessionalism. However, it's been a long time since I used this properly. It's just been a long time since I used anything. As you can see, racial features down here. We'll get to those in a little bit. These are a lot more... They're a lot more complex because they're limited to specific races, but something like Prodigy, which should be amongst these, hopefully. Or not. Prodigy is something you want to take. But for our build here, we wanted to specifically be taking... Hold on, let me actually... Nope. Let me actually get it off of the website. Oh, here we go. I need to look for the O's. Keep in mind, this does come from a... There we go. This does come from a module, the feat that I'm about to show you. I believe it comes from a additional book. However, it can still be very powerful. So, VAT. Here we go. My apologies for all this. Oversized might. This is very simple. little but mighty. You gain proficiency in the athletics skill. Athletics or acrobatics. That's why we didn't take acrobatics back there. So we now have the acrobatics skill, and the feat we just chose was... The feat we had just chose was, you know... Oversized might. We got that thanks to oversized might. You count as one size larger, determining carry capacity and the amount you can push, lift, and drag. Most DMs will consider this as you can lift larger weapons without the disadvantage. In fact, it says nowhere in the book that this is what it does. However, in the section specifically dedicated to oversized weapons in the back of the DM's guide, it says that the DM may normally allow players to wield oversized weapons so long as they count as a creature or have the capacity to lift that weapon. I believe that is not what it says directly in the DM's guide book, but on the online copy it usually has some addendum like that. So if you're already a Minotaur and you count as a larger creature, you can do that. You can absolutely do that from level 1. But as a human fighter, we are just going to take advantage of this over here. You also have advantage on saving throws against being not kicked. You probably, yeah. Against being moved or knocked prone, which is very powerful and very good for us to have. So, we move on. Review our fighter. Quinn is looking good so far. So, let me explain what oversized weapons do before we get into any more of the synergies with any of these. Oversized weapons allow you to add the damage dice of damage dice of a weapon again. So a great sword, which normally does 2d6 damage, goes to 4d6 damage, which is insane. And keep in mind, with Samurai, we can use our bonus action to give ourselves advantage on any attacks we do. And we're doing 4d6 damage. But it gets better. It gets better. Because there is another feat, hopefully it's amongst these. No, it is not. What is going on? Where are all the feats at, man? They've disappeared. They've run away. Feats are a very good synergy. Feats are a very powerful synergy. I have no idea what happened to them all. They disappeared into thin air. That's unfortunate. Yeah, it only brings me to that page. Well, just like this. Hold on. Oopsies, you didn't see that, ladies and gentlemen. There's a feat called Brawny. Brawny does something very similar. Increase your maximum strength score by 1, which means our Quinn friend here would have a 17 in this now. Can we actually change that or no? No, they won't let us. Unfortunate. But we would have a 17 now. We need to get something a bit more modular than this. This is for very official play. We have a 17 in this now. And we gain proficiency in athletics. If you already have proficiency in athletics, your proficiency is doubled, which is a very good combination. And you count as one size larger for the purpose of carrying capacity, which we're determining carry capacity. Which normally DMs will allow you to use oversized weapons. If your DM doesn't allow you to use these two feats for oversized weapon, you can still brute force this with a different method I will show you. In case your DM will not allow you to do this, which I will show you shortly. But, so, we have a 2d6 greatsword where we can give ourselves advantage on every attack. We're level 4 right now. We level up again. We kill a big army or something. Alright, great. We go into this. Let's increase our strength properly. And we'll put this into something useless like charisma to represent us getting our brawny feature. And there you go. 17, we're good. We're already very powerful. We have 44 hit points at level 5. We're in the clear. At this point, you would probably want some good armor. I suggest for a build like this, taking something like plate mail armor. Just get as high as you possibly can with the best armor you can. A lot of NPCs in the DMG or the monster manual actually spawn with plate mail armor. They have it on them on their character sheet naturally, like a knight or a high town guard or something like that. So once again, it's pretty good. Not sponsored by any of these advertisements, by the way. It's pretty good, right? You can. It's not that hard to find. You can honestly, your DM will probably give you some eventually, because someone you kill will eventually be wearing it, unless you're fighting a lot of spellcasters, which I will get to later in a different stream. So, after all of that, we have our 2 feats we want to take. We already have, Brawny or Oversized Might. I would personally pick Brawny first just to get that strength increase. And we level up again. We're doing good damage, 4d6 per swing at this point. We have an extra attack. Keep in mind we have 2 attacks at level 5. I do believe we get another feat. Yes, an ability score improvement. Now we take Oversized Might, and we replace our old greatsword with one that does 6d6 damage. Insane. 66 damage. That is so good. It's incredible. 66 damage. But then we do the biggest brain play of them all. Because we realize that the thing is about Fighter, it doesn't have any options we need anymore. It doesn't. Because the thing is, after that, in Samurai, we get like Strength Before Death at higher levels, sure. We can go down here. We get more temporary hit points, we get all this, but these are kind of useless to us. This especially, this is blocking our way, and we only get this at 10th. We're at 6th, I mean, come on. We don't need that. Instead, we can multi-class into Barbarian because of our strength modifier being high enough. And we can do more damage. So we have 66 damage per swing. We can already get that damage out there. We can rage now as well. Right? Because you say, we level up again. We're at 6th level. And we say, you know what? I don't really need that. I don't need that. What I need is Barbarian. When we get to 7th level, we take Barbarian. We get more options. We can rage now. That's really good. If you have a high dexterity modifier from before, which we do not, but that doesn't matter for us, you can use on-armor defense instead of armor. So if you rolled high dex, high defense. Now, you may be wondering, wait a minute here. Rage takes your bonus action, and you're going to be using Fighting Spirit for your bonus actions anyways, right? So what's the point? Well, first, survivability with your Fighting Spirit's temp HP. But we can kind of get around some of our issues now. We can wield weapons above the size we need to right now. So, the thing is, wielding a weapon above your normal size gives you disadvantage on using it, and rage normally lasts a minute. So we have 2 things we need. But the thing is, we are a fighter, and if your DM is allowing you to use the original interpreted version of Action Surge, what you can do is pretty powerful. You can use your main action for attacks, or instead, You can use Fighting Spirit immediately with your first bonus action. Use Action Surge for attacks. You do good damage. Then your main action for attacks. You do good damage. Then you use Action Surge, attack again, and then Rage. Because in the original version of Fighter with Action Surge, it says possible bonus action. You can go check the printed version of the player's handbook right now. It says, and a possible bonus action if you can take one. We can take one. We can Rage. That is a very good setup to be able to Rage immediately. And not only that, what you could do is you could carry a second greatsword that does 8d6, a gigantic greatsword. And because you have advantage in all of your attacks, you just swing normally. But okay. You got Barbarian. You level up again. We're already at 61 hit points, keep in mind. We're level 7. You level up again. Second level Barbarian. What does this class give us? This right here. Reckless attack. You gain advantage on attack rolls in the exchange that opponents get advantage on attack rolls against you. And keep in mind, we're already doing very good damage. We are resistant to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage. All kinds, right? We can do what we need to. We have advantage on strength saves and checks. It's incredible. We have extra damage from Barbarian while we're raging. So we are doing 2d6 plus... Sorry, we are doing 66 with our normal sword, plus 3, plus 2, which is 5 from our ability score modifier here. That's insane. That's insanely powerful. That is so powerful. It is, especially at level 8, when, you know, we're not doing too much damage normally. Oh, hold on one second, the dog needs my assistance. Sorry about that, I am back. So, hold on. Let me just make sure that worked. Oh yeah, I'm back, okay. I am back. Alright. So, we're already doing, you know, 6d6 plus 5 damage. Can't get any higher, right? That's where you're wrong. Because we also get Danger Sense, which allows us to cover for our low dexterity score, because it gives us advantage. And it encourages us not to get blinded or deafened. But we can go even further beyond by leveling up one more time. At this point, we're level 10. Well, 9, but we'll get to that in a second. We're level 9. Level 3 Barbarians get Primal Path and Primal Knowledge. Primal Knowledge gets us another skill right there. But what we're interested in is the Primal Path of the Giant, which allows us to increase our size, Giant Stand, increase our reach and size by a size larger. You become larger. You become a large creature. Keep in mind, these feats only consider us one size, specifically one size larger for carrying capacity. A size larger. Which means we become a large creature, which means we can carry more. Then we get an 8d6 greatsword, and we always rage first thing to get our full damage. So we rage, action surge, first thing, no matter what, then get our fighting spirit up. And keep in mind, this entire time we're terrorizing people with Great Weapon Master with our plus 10 damage. We're ripping through people left, right, and center. We're doing 8d6 damage now. We're level 9. We have a ton of health now because we're speccing into Barbarian, and we have more reach. And you know what we do with more reach? We abuse it. We abuse that reach because we can work a reaction build into this pretty easily. And not only that, with this primal path, we can use throwing weapons really effectively as well. So, what we do, we also will get Pounce soon, which is very powerful. Where is it? Pounce. Feral Instinct. Pounce, yeah, 7th level. We'll get Pounce soon, which is very powerful for us because we have a hard time closing the distance. So, our next level is an ability score increase. We have 3 rages. Ability score increase. You know what that means. Back to the feats. And there is a specific feat which would be very good. Let's see if this website actually has it or not. And where is it? Does the website have it? I don't think they do. Oh, hold on, the dog needs in now. My apologies. Alright, I am back. Sorry, my dog has sundowners, so she's really irritable and scared at night. So, we have Piercer. Do we have F? No, we don't. Unfortunate. We have Artificer Initiate, but we do not. No, we do. Right here. Fighting Initiate. You can choose one fighting style. What fighting style do we want? Tunnel Fighter. Because we have that extra reach from our Barbarian Primal Path from Giant, we can now use our ability here, right? So we just leveled up. Level 4 in Barbarian. We can use our ability here to allow us to use Tunnel Fighter effectively. But, you ask me, it requires a bonus action to enter this stance. Aren't you using your bonus action economy too much? You're right, it does require a bonus action to enter our stance. But this is more of a reactive purpose, right? This is just for DPS and speccing. If you don't want to go into Tunnel Fighter, something else you can do instead is take something like the Piercer feat. Where is it? Here we are. The Piercer feat, and swap your Greatsword out for a Pike. Because we're going into Barbarian now, right? Where is it? Piercer. Piercer. Increased strength or dexterity, which is always important, no matter what. Obviously, Primal Path, we're going to choose, just Berserker. It's one of the worst ones. And then we get this down here, ability score improvement. Strength to represent the feats we've picked up. At this point, we're doing tons of damage. We have +4 to strength. So the thing is, at this point, we could either take Tunnel Fighter for more reactive abilities in combat to give ourselves more attacks and more defense, Or, instead of Tunnel Fighter, if that doesn't tickle your fancy any, you can instead pick the Piercer feat and swap your 8d6 giant greatsword out for a, well, doesn't sound as much, but keep in mind it is slightly less damage, but it is more defensive. You can swap it out for Piercer or Polearm Master if you want to. This is where your options get really wide because you want this critical effect down here. For a 5 or 4, depending on what build you've gone for so far, 5 or 4 D10 pike. It really depends. It's up to you. Pikes can fit this build very, very well thanks to the qualities that they have. So you want to pick this up, and from here you can either become a crit fisher build thanks to your brutal critical die, or instead if you picked Tunnel Fighter, you can use your greatsword and your extra range, and after the first round of combat you can enter that defensive stance reactively to hit anyone with that reaction ability automatically if you went into Tunnel Fighter. Personally, I would pick Tunnel Fighter for a human, and I would pick Piercer for an orc, so you can get that crit fisher build going on. So whenever you do critical someone, you kill them immediately, because we're going to get brutal critical here in a bit, and Piercer already gives us a level of brutal critical. But let's scale this all the way up, shall we? 14th level Barbarian. We go all the way to here. We have stuff like Elemental Glaive now, which gives us more damage. I'll go over our damage first. We have Impale Colossus, we're another size larger, so we can do, with our pikes, 6d10 damage now. We can get another size larger. We do 2d10 extra damage with Elemental Glaive while we're raging. I would personally pick Thunder damage amongst those. So we're doing, in total, 6d10 plus 2d6 damage from our pike if we went through the critical build. And now we can do our brutal criticals, which we get one at 13 and one at 9, which means when we critical an opponent, we are doing some damage. Let me get that out for you guys. So, when we critical an opponent, we are doing 6d10 plus 2d6 plus 3 more d10 plus our damage modifier twice, which at that point would be plus 5, and then Barbarian Rage would give us, at level 14, another 6. So 16 damage. 47 plus 16 damage, 1 critical attack. Keep in mind, that's magical because of Elemental Glaive. So those are your options. As a fighter, all in all, you do have to hustle a little bit to be a good, responsive class. But today I've shown you what features and what abilities work best with a high damage fighter. What you can do to work more than just the fighter class into your build. The Barbarian class is always a good option, but there are other options such as Eldritch Knight down here. Eldritch Knight can combo into Wizard really well if you have a high int score. I've shown you optional rules which can make you stronger with, Great Weapon Master, of course. And I've shown you how you can combo a fighter's ability to get multiple feats together with another class's ability to double down on those features, as well as how you can use fighting styles with other abilities, specifically Tunnel Fighter with the Giant Barbarian's extra reach to get an extra attack. You gotta play smart when you play as a fighter. Smarter than you have to with something like a wizard or a warlock, because in the end of the day, magic casting classes get a lot handed to them for pretty much free, right? They get consistent spellcasting, consistent damage at a range. I mean, warlocks especially. If you understand how to play a warlock, you get a lot of stuff handed to you for free. Magical abilities that fighters just do not get. You gotta play creatively as a martial class. But if you do, you can be the strongest class in the game. Pretty soon I'll be going over the basics in Barbarian and how you can use Barbarian effectively with different classes. It's been nice talking to you guys like this. Real nice. I'm personally pretty happy. Here's the credits one more time. I'm personally pretty happy with everything that came out of this little stream. It's only been an hour, but you know what? We only need an hour to explain a class like fighter, right? It is simple but effective, and its simple abilities can be turned into something incredibly complex by those who know how to use it. Alright, everybody. Ending stream here. I will see you all